Oshi No Ko is my favorite manga out right now. Now usually I talk about more well-known pieces of media on my channel, but this week I wanted to cover something that's a bit more of a personal pleasure of mine. Yeah guys, I'm not just the guy that talks about that One Piece movie. Okay, maybe I am, but that's beside the point. Now, Oshi No Ko, also known as My Star, is a manga series written by Aka Akasaka and illustrated by Mango Yokoyari. Now, if either of these mangaka's names are or aren't familiar to you, Yokoyari's most popular work is a manga by the name of Scum's Wish, while Akasaka's most popular work is Kaguya-sama Love is War, one of the most popular romantic comedies out there. Now, while most of you who have seen Kaguya-sama probably know it for its more lighthearted, cheeky comedy, let me be the first one to tell you right now that Oshi No Ko is nothing like that. Like, not at all. Not one bit. Now, there is definitely romance in there, and you will find a few moments you can laugh at here and there, but those are mostly sidelined for the actual plot and drama of the story. So like, I can only go so far without having to, you know, summarize the plot for you guys, but don't worry, I'm not gonna spoil anything. So let me explain the contents of this story as simply as possible. So the story of Oshi No Ko follows the lives of two children of a famous idol known as Ai. The two kids' names are Ruby and Aqua. But one interesting about these kids is that they remember all of what happened in their previous lives. Ruby was formerly a sick patient who couldn't get any taste of the outside world due to her condition, and used Ai's performances as an escape from that until her own death. While as for Aqua, he was a doctor who actually took care of this girl and grew quite attached with, but then later after her death had to take care of Ai in secret when discovering that she was giving birth to twins from an unknown father. He was also a big fan of Ai before this, and shortly after realizing this, he's killed by a stalker and reincarnated as her son Aqua. Some later events follow that change the course of these twins' lives forever, and the story follows these two as Ruby tries to become an idol like her mother, while Aqua heads into the acting business under the guidance of a director. This is as well in the footsteps of his mother, but he has a more deeply rooted reason and much darker motivation for this than it simply being his dream. But that is something that I cannot tell you because that is a big spoiler. Read the series. And that is the basic gist of Oshi No Ko's story. So one major concept that's explored throughout this story is of course the entertainment business, and while the two main characters are on this path of idols and actors, the manga sheds light on pretty much everything from YouTube, manga, theater, music, filmmaking, and many other things. And not only does it explore all of these things, but they explore them in a very realistic and accurate way that shows both the greater and darker sides of being an entertainer. From scandals to stalkers, it covers pretty much everything, and it covers it well. The way it explores this world that's entirely different from our own perception of media makes this story feel very real. Most of the things that happen in this manga could happen to somebody in real life, and it exposes one of the sadder truths about the entertainment business and entertainers in general, and that is most of them are liars. For example, the whole I love all of my fans thing that a lot of like singers and actors and so many other people do, 9 times out of 10, that is bullshit. That is just bullshit. And this manga blatantly says that in just the first few chapters of it. And it reminds you of this many times. A lot of people in this business, in the story, are simply just wearing a mask over their true selves. And the characters this idea is explored throughout the most are shown to have a heavy amount of guilt for that. They start questioning who they really are and what love even really means to them at this point. Whether it's being groomed into the industry as a kid or being stalked for simply being in a relationship, it's a sadly realistic representation of the world of media and celebrities. And while it mostly focuses on the Japanese industry for entertainment, this can apply to pretty much any country. This would now be a good place for me to transition to one of my biggest praises of the story, and that is the characters, who all feel just as real as the stories they're being put into. On the main side of things, you have Aqua and Ruby, who are pretty much polar opposites of each other. While Ruby is this cheerful, optimistic girl who's always seen the show business world as an escape and feels more free than ever as she cluelessly chases her dreams, Aqua is someone whose trauma from both his past life and new childhood had shaped his entire perspective of the world. He's cold, quiet, pushes many people away, and sees the media only for the lies, knowing himself just how fake and trapped and in danger a lot of famous people truly are in this real world. This leads to him having a lot of hesitation before truly getting into acting entirely, but his motivation for something that, once again, can't spoil, pushes him to do so. And the supporting cast around them are just as good in all their own ways, from the two potential love interests in Kana and Akane to the deceptive yet guiding friend of mem-cho. They all have their own distinct set of flaws and their own character arcs that make them entirely unique from each other. They also put a big twist on the common tropes you would normally see in a slice of life or romance series, as pretty much all of these characters match up with the common archetype you would see for many characters in almost any form of fiction. But they're explored and developed so much much in this story that they begin to feel like much more than that. There's many different plot points with these characters that further develop all of their character arcs, and it does a great job of giving everyone a big enough role to not feel forgotten in the writing. This too can also be said for characters that aren't really as recurring as the main cast, as even if they're only lightly involved in a couple arcs with like minor roles, they're still given their own little overarching character arcs within the story that intertwine with whatever's going on with the main cast. This makes their presence felt a lot more without veering too far out from the central plot of the story, and so you'll never really feel bored with it. The manga's plot revolving around the entertainment business gives it the opportunity to give you pretty much a slice of everything. From comedy to music to even hints of really beautifully drawn action, its unique story offers much to be seen, and the creators aren't all that afraid to take risks with the direction this story takes. There's many sources of inspiration to be drawn from here to other series, of course the main ones being previous works from the creators, but it offers so many different ideas with their own unique twists on them that the story feels entirely different from most other series you've read, and it only continues to get better and defy your expectations as it goes on. Even when you believe that it might have reached its peak, or if you predict something that might happen, it offers even more to surprise you. And I'm serious when I say the story gets better and better as it goes on. It really does. There's pretty much nothing I can complain about here. The story, characters, artwork, everything is fantastic about it. I could not picture anybody else drawing this manga. The art style just fits it so perfectly. Everything about it is fantastic to me, and it's one of the few manga that I rush to as soon as a new chapter releases. When I say this is a story that really anyone could enjoy given the chance, I mean it. I can't recommend a series more than this one, especially if you really like more serious manga. Of course, I'm not going to act like this is the most dark or serious thing you'll ever read out there, because I mean it isn't, but it does take its subject matter really seriously, and the dramatic tension is done very, very well. And to those of you who aren't really into reading manga, don't really know why you're watching this if so, but don't worry about that either. An anime adaptation is already in the works and is set to release sometime in early 2023. Well, I do worry about how some of the early content will be adapted. This is one series that, if given the proper justice, can be a title that blows up to a massive audience next year. And that is mostly everything I have to say about this manga. I can't recommend Oshi No Ko enough. Go and read it. It's like 90 chapters long right now. Pretty quick read too. You won't be spending too much time with it. Go read it. You'll enjoy it. I'm sure you will. And with all that being said, before my closing message, I do want to talk about like two quick little notes that don't really relate to what I'm talking about in this video. The first thing is that I want to just like promote two of my friends that are actually starting to do YouTube now. They're going to be making similar content to me, like One Piece and anime reviews and stuff. Their names are Straw Hat Josh and Isaiah Collin. You've actually seen both of them appear on my channel before if you watched my milkshake video, which by the way is probably the funniest video on my entire channel. Go watch that if you haven't. But both of them appeared in that video, and they're both great guys. They're hilarious, they're smart, they know what they're talking about. So go ahead and give them a subscribe. I guarantee you won't regret it, especially if you like my content. So subscribe to Straw Hat Josh and subscribe to Isaiah Collin. They've got a lot of good stuff in the works that they're gonna put out for you guys. And the second thing I wanted to say was just, thanks for 1,000 subscribers. I didn't really expect that. Like, I really didn't. I know a lot of you came here from my like One Piece movie review, and if you have, don't worry, I'm gonna make more videos like that in the future, so stay tuned for that. But other than that, that's pretty much everything I have to talk about here, so I'll see you later.